Hey guys, Beretta Millimeter USA here, and today's video is going to be the Smith & Wesson model M&P340 J-Frame versus the Glock Model 36 chambered in 45 ACP. The M&P340 is chambered in, if it'll show up right there it is, 357 Magnum. So you can also shoot the less powerful 38 Special Plus P or your standard pressure 38 Specials through this. This is a Zeta 6 snap cap ring. That's what I'm running in this currently for showcasing in this video. So we're nice and safe on the revolver so we can dry fire it and showcase it nicely. And again, Glock 36, we're safe in this as well. 6+1 with this, by the way. 5-shot with the J-frame revolver. The old auto versus revolver debate, right? This is a interesting little comparison comparing these two. Again, so with the Glock out the gate, you get a +2 advantage over your old wheel gun if you carry one in the pipe. And I always suggest that you carry one in the pipe. It's a disservice to take the extra time to have to be able to manipulate the slide. You're behind the clock already by having to respond to someone else's actions upon you. You know what I'm saying? If you're in a defensive situation. So one in the pipe already, make sure that you don't end up in a situation where you're pressing this into someone and pushing your semi-automatic out of battery. That's also a big disadvantage of this style design over the revolver. You could shove this revolver into someone and pull the trigger 5 times. As long as the cylinder is free flowing, you're good to go. And that cylinder will turn every time while it's pressed into someone. This is running a set of Crimson Trace red laser grips. A nice little advantage of the wheel gun is you have the ability to change the grips on it, the stocks on it. So this is a nice rubber grip, very good at soaking up recoil, and also gives you that extra aiming device on top of your really nice sight picture with this M&P340. That's an XS, little dot in the front, and your gutter rear of your frame. Nice sight picture, works really well. It is easy to get good hits with this revolver if you are good and proficient with the little wheel gun. That's the problem with the revolvers, you guys, is most people can't run one of these anymore. And the trigger for most people is a bit stout compared to your Glock. Your Glock has about a 5-pound trigger, 5.5-pound trigger, maybe 8 pounds if you don't get lucky. You know what I'm talking about if you've seen some of our Glock videos. But anyway, again, a heavy trigger on the revolver is what leads people to not be very accurate with these. A lot of people consider the old J-frame like this, the 642, 442, M&P340, 340 PD and all that, to be a expert's weapon because, again, not an easy handgun to use at all. It takes more time and more skill to be able to run a revolver proficiently, and especially to manipulate this stock trigger. A non-gunsmith standard trigger. This is a lot of pressure to pull back and a lot of movement, you guys. You have a long ways to go on this trigger versus the old Glock. That's your take up and break. Reset. Safe action trigger, it is just easier to manipulate versus the double action of a double action only revolver. Now some guys may say, yeah, why are you showcasing a double action only wheel gun? Why aren't you showcasing something like this Taurus A56 Ultralight with its hammer? Because it's hammer time, apparently. I'm not the biggest fan of running an external hammer revolver as a CCW gun. It does give you more options, of course, but it also, you go on the internet, what do you see most people doing with a revolver if it has the hammer on it? This right here. You see people cock it back into single action and then take all their shots from single action only. They never manipulate that double action first, or ever, practically. That's a mistake. In my opinion, you need to be proficient mainly with that double action. That single action is when you've got time, man. Who says you've got time? I ain't saying you got time. The person on top of you stabbing you to death ain't giving you time to cock that hammer back. So again, in my opinion, to be more proficient, train it first anyway with a double action only, or running your revolver first in double action before you ever consider cocking it back and partaking in that wonderful single action pull. You need to get used to that double action trigger pull first, in my opinion. That's the way I recommend to do it because I did start out with a Taurus. I started out with a 9-shot 22 long rifle 4-inch Taurus revolver, and again, it had the external hammer. And what did I normally do? Ran that double action trigger because I felt that actually it was more important to shoot from double action. I don't know, my brother was always cocking it back and running it in single action. I was always wanting to partake in that double action first. And I got really good at lighting off multiple rounds in a quick succession exclusively with that double action. Running a revolver in double action only, it's a dying art. And if you know how to run a real gun, proficiently run a wheel gun, you're better off than most people out there because, again, most people cannot pick up a revolver and make it run well. They just can't. They'll be all over the target or missing because, again, they can't handle the trigger pull and everything else. It's a little crude about the little revolver design in comparison to your modern day pistols. Talking about a short sight radius, heavy trigger if it's not been worked over. A J-frame is also not as easy to load or reload in comparison to a semi-auto. Semi-auto, pistols out, pistols locked back. You drop your magazine, fresh mag in. You pull that slide back or manipulate the slide release by dropping the slide release. Voila, you're ready to go into fire again. With a revolver, you gotta open up that cylinder release, push the cylinder out, dump your shell casings, hitting your extractor rod, and then you get to load up every single of those charging holes. So again, it's more time, and some might say it takes definitely more skill to load a wheel gun over the semi-automatic. Speaking of reloading options, I'll showcase this to you guys real fast in this video because this is actually what I do carry with this M&P340, and that is the Zeta 6 J-Pack. So right here I've got 10 extra rounds of 38 Special Plus P Sig V Crown in these. So when I carry this M&P340, I carry it with a total of 15 shots. Again, this nice little J-Pack speed loader here, or speed strip. I could even carry an additional round if I wanted to load up that charge hole right there. I just might on one of those side of the speed strips if I want to have an additional round. Who knows, you know? Hell, that extra round might save someone's life someday. You never know. Anyway. Again, 15 shots, perfect combination right here. If you want to carry a super light concealable J-frame. The J-frames, I prefer the M&P340 to be able to shove a 357 Magnum in this if you had to. I wouldn't want to have to shove a full bore 357 in this, but again, it has the ability to do it if I need to. If I was to run 357 Magnum ammunition through this exclusively, it would be the Spear short barrel formula gold dot ammunition. As far as little carry J-frames, the M&P340 is my favorite. You don't have any issues with cylinder erosion or flame cutting with this J-frame. Now, if you go with the 340 PD with its titanium cylinder and all that, you could run into some issues depending on the grain of ammo that you're running in it and all that. Again, a scandium alloy frame on this, so better than aluminum alloy. They're mixing a little scandium in there, making it strong and most definitely better. Beautiful sleeve stainless steel barrel in that scandium alloy frame. Highly durable finish here on the Smith & Wesson. It's really held up well on this M&P340 and the second M&P340 that we have. It's good quality J-frame, guys. So as long as you get a good quality J-frame and not a lemon from Smith & Wesson, if you guys know what I'm talking about, Smith's had some really bad QC as of the last couple of years. So if you pick up a J-frame, be on the lookout. Make sure you look it over really well. And manipulate your gun. Make sure that it's good to go. Make sure that there's no issues and everything seems to be working 100%. Putting that snap safe snap ring back in there. Such good lockup on the Smith & Wessons. And an amazing return spring. Again, if you can run the double action trigger, you guys, and run it fast and run it well, you're good to go. Again, it is easy to run a J-frame when you get used to it. Again, it's going to take some time and use, though. You're going to have to use the revolver via dry firing and live fire. Again, the J-frame in comparison to the Glock, anyone could run a Glock over the J-frame. They are so simplistic and easy to use. Magazine in, manipulate the slide, and manipulate that trigger. You're good to go. Again, it is so easy to run this trigger over your double action only J-frame. So again, one last time with Glock, you have that safe action style trigger. So you cannot press the trigger from the side to get it to go off. You have to press the trigger from the center, the middle, to get that lever to depress to be able to activate the trigger fully. Again, you're at the wall. Good trigger. Reset. Quality pieces, both of them. Now, if I was to have to pick between the two of these, you guys, the Glock 36 or the Smith & Wesson J-frame, I don't think this is going to surprise anyone. Boom. It's the Smith & Wesson J-Frame all day over the Glock 36. Yeah, you do have 2 additional rounds, but I know how to run a J-Frame, I gotta tell you, and I know how to run it really well. And again, the thing that really bothers me most on the Glock 36 here, at least in its current iteration, I can't drop the magazine release. As a lefty, again, it's a bit of a showstopper for me personally, but any righties out there that don't have an issue would probably choose the Glock 36 over the Smith & Wesson 5-shot J-Frame. The old 5-shot snub versus the Glock Model 36. Again, 2 completely different weapon platforms, things to consider, things to know. Definitely, if you pick up one of these, practice with your concealed carry piece and get very proficient and to be prepared for the worst possible scenario. If you choose one of these pistols, either way, you should be good to go. Appreciate you guys watching this video. You guys have a great one. And as always, remember, your Second Amendment is worth protecting.